In this video I'm going to address one of the most frequently asked questions by people wanting to start playing guitar, and the question is, how long does it take to learn to play the guitar? I have taken my years of teaching experience and I've done some maths. Now, although there are many variables and there won't be a specific number that is the same for every single person, I am going to give you some realistic time frames. There are a few things that need to be addressed about this topic and about you as a student, because at the end of the day, this all comes down to you. I'm just going to address these topics first and then I'm going to come to the time frames. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel and check out my free beginner's guitar course that you'll find by going to the link in the description box below. So the first thing that needs to be addressed is, to what level are you working towards? I am seeing the goal here as being getting through the beginner stages of playing guitar, and that's what I'm going to be basing the time frame on. To me, this is being able to play the majority of the open chords, being able to make smooth changes between these chords, having a decent grasp of some strumming patterns, being able to play some simple riffs and melodies, and being able to play a few strummed songs, you know, like Wonderwall by Oasis, Time of Your Life by Green Day, Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol, and some other songs of a similar vein. Being at this stage is a great foundation point for someone to be able to move on to the next level of their development if they so wish to. Factors of learning. There are factors such as age that can be taken into consideration. Kids can learn things quicker, but contrary to popular belief, this isn't always the case. If a kid doesn't want to put the effort in and wants to go off and do other things, then they're not going to learn. Some kids don't actually want to play guitar at first, or at least they don't want to practice playing the guitar, but they continue having lessons, and then one day they get the bug and they're really thankful for all the lessons that they have actually had. Some kids really enjoy playing and they do actually want to play the guitar all the time. If a kid wants to play guitar all the time, they do have more time than a lot of adults, so they will take to it quicker because they have more time to put in. A lot of adults will actually mention to me that they wish they started to play earlier or when they were a kid. This also brings up another point that I do like to mention, which is kids tend to have a lack of fear about certain things. Where an adult might say, "That sounds hard, I'm never going to be able to play that." Often a kid will say, "That sounds really cool, can I learn that?" Okay, so I think there are two main factors that need to be considered when learning the guitar. One is determination and the other is natural ability. Let's get natural ability out of the way first. People can argue and debate about natural ability all they want, but I can tell you from experience, some people just take to the basics really easily. Some people, I will show them something and they'll just be able to play it, like they've been able to play it for years. Some people just have a natural ability to retain knowledge and to memorize things and just understand things quicker. Some people can learn to coordinate their hands quicker and just seem to have more of a natural dexterity to their fingers. If you are not one of these people that are annoyingly competent straight away, then please be assured that even these people that do take to things a bit more naturally will always find something that challenges them. The problem with these people is when they come to that wall and they face the thing that challenges them, are they ready for it? To put the serious amount of work and effort in to overcome the challenge? They have never needed to before, so will they now? I have seen a lot of people have had this natural ability, and then they come to this first hurdle and they don't know how to tackle it, so they'll just plateau and stay the same and never progress from this point on. So this brings me on to the next factor, which is determination. The key to learning anything is repetition. We all know the phrase, practice makes perfect. If you put the effort in and you are striving to get better, you will get better. This is a fact. One of the greatest gifts that I have seen people take away from learning to play an instrument is their ability to work hard and to persevere. The sense of achievement from finding something difficult and then working away at it until you can do it is immensely rewarding, and the people that get this will excel. There's usually a point when someone starts playing guitar at about 1 to 3 months, I would say, when the excitement of learning to play and the novelty of taking up the instrument wears off, and people will often quit. This is the stage where we see if someone has the motivation and the determination to continue, especially if they're finding it difficult. I think that's everything I want to cover about the aspects and the factors of learning. Now we've gone through that, I want to go through the actual time frame that I've come up with, and I'm going to explain to you how I've come up with this time frame. If you could subscribe to the channel and like the video, that would be really appreciated. You should be able to get through the beginner stages of playing guitar in 6 to 12 months. This is a conservative estimate. I have seen people take longer than this, and I have seen people do this a lot quicker. but I do think that 6 to 12 months is a very realistic time frame. So let me explain how I've come to this time frame so you can understand it and you can decide whether these numbers make sense for you. I am working on the basis that a student practices for 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That equates to 2.5 hours of practice every week. I usually break practice up into two things. So let's say if it's a half an hour practice routine, you might do 15 minutes one thing, 15 minutes another thing. I would probably recommend maybe 10 minutes on one thing and 10 minutes on another thing, and then you've got another 10 minutes free to do whatever you want to do and just have some fun playing, because after all, you should be having fun when you're learning to play. And obviously, remember, the more you put in, the more you'll get out of it. So here we're working on the basis of half an hour practice routines 5 days a week, but if you do an hour practice routine 5 days a week, then you're going to be doubling that time to 5 hours per week. Learning your first chords can be a real challenge. Now, even if you are finding it really difficult, from my experience, I do think you should be able to get that within the space of a month. After learning these first chords, it does become easier to learn chords. So the more chords you learn, the quicker you're going to get at learning them. But let's say even if we're being extreme with our estimate, and it takes, for every single chord you learn, it's going to take you 1 week, and we're learning 30 chords in your first stages to get through this first stage, that's going to take you 30 weeks to learn. And that is using 15 minutes of our half an hour practice routines. Learning to change between chords and getting smoother changes, this is another thing that is really tricky to learn at first, but the more you do it, the quicker you get at it. Being very extreme with this estimate again, I would say 30 weeks of 15-minute practice routines, and you should be able to change between all of these chords that you've learned. So overall, that comes to 30 weeks so far. Learning a bunch of beginner melodies and riffs. Now, I usually teach, let's say, about 15 of these in people's first stages of playing guitar. And people tend to find them quite enjoyable to do, so they can tackle quite a few of these at the same time. So I'll often see people like maybe learn about 3 or 4 of these a week. But let's say, again, being on the extreme side, we learn 1 of these riffs every single week. Then that's going to take you about 15 weeks. Again, using 15 minutes of our half an hour practice routines. Strumming patterns, so this ties in really well with learning the chords and learning to change between the chords. And again, the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. But being on the top end of our estimates, again, let's say it's going to take about 15 weeks, and you should know a few strumming patterns. Learning some strummed songs. To learn some strummed songs, it could take about 4 weeks to learn each song. Learn 5 songs, that's 20 weeks. All of these calculations have been very pessimistic, but even with all the pessimism, each time I do this calculation, it's coming up with a similar number, around 60 weeks, so about a year to just over a year to learn these things. This is a rough guide to how I'm thinking when it comes to timescales. Hopefully you can see the point. So if we have a clear destination, as in a goal of where to get to, and you have a plan of how to get there, you follow these steps step by step and properly, then there's no reason why you can't get there within 6 to 12 months, if not quicker. To conclude, essentially, learning to play the guitar all comes down to you. Yes, learning to play the guitar is hard and will not happen overnight for the majority of us, but with structured learning, motivation and a determined mind, then it won't take you as long as you might think to be able to play the guitar. Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope that it has shed some light on this age-old question, and I do hope it has given you some insight into the journey that you have decided to take if you have decided to learn to play the guitar. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and if you do have any questions you want to ask away in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one.